I'm Sandy, and this is a very small set of drums. A little piccolo, 10-inch tom, and so forth. I used this in my motorhome. I lived in a motorhome for 3 years, and this was pretty well compact. I had my first inclination of playing drums seeing Gene Krupa when I was 7 years old at a vaudeville theater in Los Angeles. And everybody was standing. I'm talking to Dan here, actually, not the camera. I'll talk to you, Dan. Everybody was standing in the aisles, yelling and whistling. And I'm 7 years old, and I'm thinking, why don't they sit down and watch and hear this guy? And Gene Krupa, he had a white tuxedo, and the spotlight threw the shadow of the sticks on the curtain in the back. And he had a silver sparkle set of drums, which was innovative in 1948. And it was really something. He put on a show, and he didn't really play a lot, but he moved with the beat he was playing, and he looked like he was really into it. He'd move back. He'd play a kind of a paradiddle with a bass drum every other beat, something that I think Buddy Rich used to do. He'd move back and forth like that. Then I got a set of drums for Christmas around that time. It was 1948, 49, and the set of drums I got was old then. Can you imagine that? I mean, 1948. The set of drums I got was from 1926, and it had a big bass drum with a painting of a ship on the front with a light bulb inside and a Chinese symbol. You know, that's because drum sets were something new. I always like to think that the first drum set was when in New Orleans on a street corner some guys were playing a tuba or whatever, trombone, and they played the bass drum with a mallet, a beater, and so the bass drum player didn't show up. So the snare drummer tied the beater ball on his foot and put the bass drum down on the ground, and then that's when the bass drum foot pedal started to emerge or evolve. And anyway, jumping up to high school, I was in the band and also the orchestra, and we'd have jam sessions at noon, and I loved piano and drums both, and I loved to try to emulate some jazz licks and play drums too. But the horn men, you know, they wore shades, and they were in the 50s, it was like cool to wear shades and say, hey man. So the horn men said, hey, we like your piano playing, but can you play in E flat or B flat? And I looked at the piano, I didn't know where E flat or B flat was, so I stuck with drums for 100 years. So, blank, space. We have some space here. Yes. Just out of high school, some guys, Bruce Johnston, who later became a Beach Boy, he and I had a little band, and Jan and Arnie and Dean Torrance, we all went down to the New Follies strip show. It was almost naked girls, and being 18 we could go in. We sit down there, and I ended up watching the drummer in the pit, orchestra pit, more than the naked ladies. I always was peripheral. And the drummer had an old drum set with snot on it or smoke from the place, and he'd play a beat like this, kind of. Like that, which was an emulation of an old big band number called Caravan by Ralph Martiri, big band. So I thought, gee, that's a nice little beat. So I made a demo of it and took it to Art LeBeau, who was a disc jockey, and he had his own label. And he loved the idea, and I thought of the term teen beat, the title. And we used Richie Podler. He had a studio in Hollywood, and I was making a lot of records there, or small sessions for other people. And the reason, what was I going to say? I got a lot of little low-end sessions with doo-wop groups in L.A., Penguins, and the Early Vibrations, all kinds of groups, Sunny Night, and because Bruce Johnston and I and Dave Shostak, who just honked on the sax, we got a job as a backup band for Art LeBeau's rock and roll shows. So that led into a lot of little recording sessions. And so I thought, well, I'll put my own record out. So I saw Art LeBeau with that little beat that I got the idea from a strip drummer. And he loved it. And so we used Richie Podler, who had the studio. And Richie, I understand, takes credit for launching my career, which is not true. It was all Art could do to get a riff out of Richie, because Richie was all over the place, and in other words, Art LeBeau coaxed the riff that was in Teen Beat on the guitar. And Bruce Johnston offered the idea of 5 steps of modulations, bum, 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 bum. I only thought of just 2, just bum, bum, bum. So, in effect, Bruce helped write Teen Beat, you might say. And then Let There Be Drums came later. And there again, I coaxed Richie into a riff, bum, 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 da, 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 da. And he wrote the turnaround. It was all I could do to get him to play or tune the guitar into unison and or octaves, unison. He didn't want to do it. But going back to Teen Beat, Art LeBeau had the genius of overdubbing Barney Kessel, a session guitar player and jazz player, real good guitar player. And he had Art had Barney play tick a tick tick a tick, where you don't push your fingers on the strings, just make a tick a tick sound, kind of a rhythmic sound. And Art also overdubbed Guybo Smith, an electric bass player, for Eddie Cochran. So Richie takes credit for all of that, but it's not true. But never mind that. I don't want to be sour grapes. Not much.